So this presentation will be available on our website. I'll share it out in the parent newsletter that'll be coming out hopefully today, but it'll be late. And so that you can reference this along with a PDF presentation. So with that, welcome everybody. This is the our final parent information session for this week. And our topic is a STEM experience. Let me go ahead and pull up my slides and present those. Oops. Let me make sure I'm working on one screen, so bear with me real quick. All right, let's go ahead and share that. All right, hopefully everybody can see that. All right, I will ask one small housekeeping or two small things. Please just make sure when you join that you're muted. Okay, and then the second thing would be any questions that you have throughout this presentation, just go ahead and put it in the chat box. That way I can go ahead and answer those when I'm done. This should be a fairly quick presentation, so hopefully I can give you all some time back to your day. Okay, enrichment at STEM, that is what we run all of our clubs and activities through. It is for students in grades, typically it's grades 1 through 12. Some kindergarten can take part, it just depends on their age. So please keep that in mind when you're signing up for enrichment activities. You can find everything pertaining to enrichment under the STEM experience tab. So I strongly recommend that you take advantage of that and take a look at that. Give me just a second. There we go. Now I can see my whole screen. It is enrichment programming is run after school. Part of our enrichment program is before and after school care, so you will see that on the enrichment page as well. But before and after school care is only for secondary students, and that would be students in grades 6 through 12. So we've had some questions about BASE. That is for kindergarten through 5th grade students, and that is run through the Douglas County School District. So if you have questions about that, you do have to go to them directly because we're not always informed of any changes that they have in regards to their policies. So please reach out to BASE directly. Oh, and I'm seeing that Ms. Fitzroy is joining right now. So when I'm done with the presentation, I can hand things over to Ms. Fitzroy so she can also answer any questions about enrichment. So you can see currently on our enrichment page what we have offered, and clubs can range from arts to athletics to robots, technology. We have so many different clubs that span elementary through high school. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at that. And there's the link on how you can find it. It's under the STEM experience. Okay. Oh, and this did not get updated like I thought it did. So the email address is correct. Pardon me, but the contact should say Melanie Fitzroy. Sarah Phelps had been with us for 11 years, and we're so sad that she left us, but she left us in great hands with Miss Fitzroy, who has also been part of our team for a number of years, knows the ins and outs of STEM, and really has a great handle on what our students like. So she's taking that perspective into account as she is working with establishing clubs or getting existing clubs more recognition and helping to promote them. So if there is if there's a club that we don't have, what students will do is that they will work with Miss Fitzroy. They will kind of create a proposal for a club. They will work to get an advisor for that club, and then they'll present that to Miss Fitzroy, and then she will work with them to really get it up and off the ground. And that includes helping to promote those clubs. So we've had things in the past that range from, we have ballet, which is run through an outside company that comes in. And then we've also had ones where there was like a classic antique radio club, and where they would come and they would bring in their antique radios, they would take them apart and rebuild them, try and get them to work. So really these enrichment clubs are an opportunity for students to express their passion. They are typically run, the typical group runs from about 3 o'clock until about 3:45, 3:50. Some clubs will meet later. Those would be more of your high school clubs, like TSA meets at a different time, Best Robotics, First Robotics, but all of that would be communicated through the advisor and the lead of that particular group. On our homepage, if you click on under calendars, and then you click on the STEM events calendar, you will see that we have a separate enrichment calendar that filters into the overall calendar. I believe it's marked in green. And those are all of the clubs when they meet, but you do need to make sure that your student is signed up for that club in advance before they just show up. So you can register for those on the enrichment page. If it's not active yet, that just means that we haven't gotten the link yet, but we update those regularly. And then when we do have a new club, or if we do have a new link for registration, we include that in the parent newsletter that goes out every Friday. So elementary programs are typically broken up into 4 sessions throughout the year. Middle school and high school, they tend to be seasonal or year-round, just depending on the club. So you will start to see those signups populate within the next 2 weeks, because a lot of those clubs need a teacher as an advisor. And so we are having a stipend signing event today where some of those clubs, or the bigger clubs, are listed there where they need an advisor. So as soon as we have that determined, those signups will start to be populated. That way we can start taking students. And as I mentioned, if you don't see anything that your student might be interested in, we really want to empower students to create their own club. It's like a passion project, and they would work again with Ms. Fitzroy on getting that done. We're also always looking for parents to get involved. Working with one of our enrichment clubs is a great way to satisfy that volunteer requirement that we touched on yesterday, that every family or single parent family has that requirement to fulfill every single year. So you can reach out to Ms. Fitzroy. That's melanie.fitzroy@stemk12.org. If you are interested in volunteering for any one of our enrichment clubs. So currently, this was a snapshot that I took this morning. You can see the current offerings that we have that are blue. That means that they're linked and active, that people can sign up for. But you'll notice that those over the next few weeks, sign up for Best Robotics will be open. Same thing for DECA and for TSA. As those programs, as the students start to come back, and then as our advisors start to come back, you'll start to see those links opening up where your students can register. So I want to touch on before and after school care, because that is run through our enrichment program. So in the morning, we have the Spartan morning program, and in the afternoon, it's a Spartan afternoon program. They are only open to middle and high school students, and you can utilize this as a drop-in type of childcare if you need it. You pay for it as you go. You would set up your account, and that information is on our website. On that enrichment tab, and you would then register your student for either morning or after school care. And they would, all of this takes place in the middle school cafeteria, so pick up and drop off would be on the west side of our building. You can see when they're in session, and that for before and after school care for secondary, it is only when we are in session. So if we have a virtual day, or if we have let's say we institute snow days again, we would not have any care on campus for secondary students. It's only when we are in session. So the morning times are from 7 to 7:30. That's $2 for your student to take part in that. And then in the afternoon, it's 3 to 6, and that's $8. If it is after 6 o'clock, we want to make sure that everybody knows it's $1 a minute. And that is because the position of the person who runs the after school program, she is on a contract. So anything after 6 o'clock would constitute as overtime for her, and we need to ensure that that gets paid for. So please know that if you're picking up after 6 o'clock, that there is a charge for that. Okay, so you would sign up for all of before and after school care. You would create your account through what's called Smart Care. There's a link here. You can also reach out to Ms. Fitzroy. She can help you with that. It's helpful if you email her that you just put Smart Care into the email. That way she knows exactly what you're asking about. There's her contact information if you need to reach her at all. We do have a part-time employee that manages after-school care. So just so that you know, Ms. Fitzroy will actually not be there, but she can help you manage or help you get set up with your account. Okay, so with that, I'm going to briefly talk about athletics, and then we'll come back to answer any questions. I see there's some in the chat box. So our athletics are for students in grades 9 through 12. You can see there, that's Mr. Alsop. He is our high school athletic director. Athletic teams are coached by a staff member or by a person. They are paid positions, and so we have a golf coach who's actually not full-time on our staff, but he does get paid as a staff member to run golf. Okay, and so we would encourage you to take a look at what we offer, and I also have that on another screen so you can see what we offer both in the fall, the winter, and the spring. I would like to point out that we are officially part of CHASA. It has been a process over the number of years. They kind of ease you in to how you become part of CHASA. So we're officially part of CHASA. And the big construction project that you see on our campus is so that we will get a CHASA regulation sized gym where we would house our basketball and our volleyball programs. And this is really huge for us because we've always had to use either other facilities within the district, or we've had to rent the facility from Panorama, which is down the street. And as you can imagine, that gets pretty costly. So it'll be really nice once we have our own facility. And part of that construction process is also the addition of a brand new weight room and locker rooms so that our students have access to really high-end, not only equipment, but really nice facilities in order to compete in athletics. So right there, that link is how you can register for fall sports. It is open right now. That link should be working. In the fall, we have boys soccer, we have co-ed cross country, we have boys golf, and we have one more, and I'm just blanking on it right now. It'll come to me when I get to the next slide. But physicals are required to participate in practice as well as participate on the team. You need to make sure that you submit a current physical to the athletic office before the first day of practice. There's the link to the physical form, and the person that you can submit the physical to is you can either submit it to the coach directly, or you can submit it to Nicole Roast. That's Nicole, NICOLE .ROST at stemk12.org. Her contact information is on our website as well. So here you can see girls volleyball. I'm so sorry I missed that one. I thought they were a winter sport. So girls volleyball is the fourth sport that we have in the fall. And then in the winter, you see we have boys basketball and esports. In the spring, we have boys lacrosse, girls soccer, and co-ed track and field. We are looking and exploring adding women's basketball. We do need a coach for that one. And so in order for us to be able to field a team, not only do we have to have enough interest, but we also have to have a coach to run that program. We're hoping that with the new staff onboarding and our event that we have this afternoon, that for our staff that to sign up to be either an advisor for a club or coach a team, that we will be able to start advertising girls basketball soon. All right, now with that, I am at the end of my particular presentation right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my presentation, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the chat box real quick. And let me get through these questions, and then I'll open it up to Ms. Fitzroy. And I don't see Mr. Alsop on here, but then we can go ahead and take live questions. So I think I answered this one, but the question is about, can a parent, oh, yeah, Ms. Fitzroy answered that one. So yes, a parent can get volunteer hours toward their, any volunteering that they do of a club. Just remember that you need to keep track of those hours in your help counter account. Ms. Fitzroy will not be keeping track of that for you. Okay. Is there a deadline for signing up for clubs? I think I saw that there are a few rush nights to learn about clubs. these two events, and it looks like Ms. Fitzroy answered that one. Some clubs, yes, will have deadlines to sign up. That will be included as you go through registration. Those two, we are going to have a middle school and a high school club rush event is what they're calling it. It's going to be during our lunch time frames. And that will be where we'll have middle school specific clubs promoting what they do and trying to get people to sign up during middle school lunches. And then the same thing will happen on the high school side. So that will be during the school day and for students to sign up. So then what you'll notice is our enrichment page will continue to populate as more clubs come online, and then we'll include that information for others or for parents to also see on our enrichment page. The next question, is it okay to miss some club meetings if the student is also doing a sport? You know, depending on what the club is doing, I would definitely run that by the advisor. I don't see that being an issue, but you also want your student to get the most out of being a part of that club, because some of the clubs do have a fee for it. So keep that in mind, that yes, they can do both and be a part of both. But, you know, if the club advisors or if the leaders of that club are counting on your student to be there for a particular reason, that they're being respectful of, you know, what the other members of that group are, that they're relying on them. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. For new clubs, are teachers required to sponsor? So we can have a parent volunteer. Ideally, we'd love for it to be a staff member. And one of the reasons is that it's easy enough for us to connect and the teacher to connect with the advisor of that club if it is a teacher. There's some like logistical things that just make it easier when it is a teacher. Now there could be a parent volunteer, and then the teacher is just there to support the parent, but the parent takes a little bit more of a lead. But we do like to have where there is a teacher that is listed as the advisor, because it's also helpful during the day if a student has a question about who to go to for that club, that they go to that teacher or they know who to email for that. Ms. Fitzroy can verify if it's a requirement, but it is something that we do like to have, is that there is a teacher advisor associated with it. Also, because we want to make sure that our teachers get training every single year, not only in CPR, but they also get training and mandatory training from the district that parents do not have to go through. So our parent volunteers, they do have to be background checked, but we want to make sure that whoever's working with students even after hours knows what to do in a situation if they have to be a mandatory reporter. So that's also really something really important to that we take into consideration. Oh, yep, there's somebody doing a plug for esports. So that was new last year, and we had some really great participation in that. We really want to get that going again. So if you are interested in esports, you can register for that. But please look at the information that was included in Mr. Alsup's athletics newsletter, because there's information specific to esports in there that you will need. That there's a specific way in which you register for that. So it's really, really cool. Our kids did awesome last year, and we want to see if we can continue that because we have a lot of kids that are really interested in gaming. So that would be a great thing. They can letter in esports. So that's also great news, because that is a CHSAA sanctioned sport. So there's a question, a Minecraft club. So that might not be listed right now because there might be a change in the advisor, and they might not have reached back out to Ms. Fitzroy to say, yes, I want to host it again. So really it is from year to year. If they can't find somebody who's like, let's say there's either the student graduated or the student left that started the club, if there's not another student that wants to pick that up again right away, then we usually wait to see if there's another student that wants to restart it. So it could be one that gets restarted once kids come back, but Ms. Fitzroy would be the one taking the lead on that. Let's see. So we do have a boys soccer coach. So he should already be reaching out to the student athletes who have already registered or have expressed an interest. I believe his name is Gary Tong. I think I said that wrong. What was it, Miss Fitzroy? You said it?
I think you probably were right.
Yeah,
I thought he said something completely different.
Okay.
Gary Tang, I think is right.
Tang, yes, so he is one of our educational assistants in secondary. And so he, from last I heard, he's our boys soccer coach. And so he should already be communicating out what those dates are. And I believe Mr. Alsop shared that out in his athletic newsletter. If you have a question about that and you're not, and maybe Gary's not responding, then I would reach out to either Mr. Alsop or reach out to Nicole Roast. That way they can answer that directly. Nicole is our athletics assistant, so she can help with that. Unfortunately, I haven't received any information from the coach directly to verify that that's when practice starts. And that's typically at the start of the year. Like, he's going through training. I just saw him today in one of my sessions. So he probably hasn't had an opportunity to send me any of his information yet. And that's normal at this time of year. There's a lot of stuff that they're going through. So let's see, there's a couple of questions here not related to enrichment or athletics. So I'm just gonna go through and take care of the enrichment ones, and then I'll go back after Ms. Fitzroy's had a chance to introduce herself. If a family has more than one child at STEM, but only one is in an enrichment club, is there a location where a sibling can hang out or do homework, meaning one pick up for the drive line? So that kiddo that is not in an enrichment program would need to go into that after school care program. So you would need to set up that Smart Care account, and then you would need to get them into that after school care program. They cannot just hang around on campus. That is outlined in the student parent handbook. Okay, so if that is something that you anticipate happening, I would go ahead and start setting up your account now. That way you're ready to go for the first week of school. Can an advisor be a current student? No. And I'll go back to an advisor needs to be an adult. We strongly encourage that advisor is a teacher or a staff member. Doesn't necessarily need to be a teacher. So I could potentially be an advisor for a club if I so chose to do that, and a parent could assist alongside. So with that, I want to go ahead and hand it over to Ms. Fitz so that she can add.
So I think, I'm not sure if I can unmute myself, but I can hold down this for now. I did want to speak to whether or not a student can be an advisor. Like Nicole said, a student cannot be an advisor, but we do have lots of students that serve as mentors in our clubs, which is extraordinary. And I'm also in the process of working with some of our clubs to help bring back some of our alumni to also mentor in our clubs and potentially serve as advisors, because we have such a strong community here at STEM. Let's see, I don't see a name, but I see a hand raised for Zoom user.
Hi, sorry, I was trying to change that to have my name. This is Mike Cornelson. I have a question for you. I saw a lot of athletics for high school students, like 9 through 12. I didn't see any for middle school. Did I miss something? Is there any athletics for the sixth grade, for example?
So if we do have something, it would be run through our enrichment programming, because CHASA is not for middle school. CHASA is only CHASA athletics are only through 9 through 12th grade. So if there's a so I think in the past we've had like a mountain biking that was run through enrichment way back when, and then there's an ultimate frisbee club. If they're open to taking middle school students, then that would be where you would find it. So we have in the past, I want to say we've had a middle school basketball team. I think that was only go ahead.
I can speak to this. So we did run a basketball program through the Northridge Rec Center. It wasn't necessarily a team that was STEM, but it was an opportunity for students to get together with other STEM students and play basketball after school. This year we are actively looking for a middle school cross country coach, and we are looking for ultimate frisbee, and we have some interest in starting up a mountain bike club. And I do believe the mountain bike club, we just need to figure out what pieces need to be put in place. I believe I have advisors that are up for starting that. So as Nicole mentioned earlier, we have that signing event. So I will be looking for advisors in those different activities. Once our CHASA gym finishes, we might look and see if there's any available time to have some of the other sports more active when it's not being used by our high school after schools, things like volleyball. We could have an enrichment opportunity there.
Got it. Thank you. So the message is look for the middle school athletics through the enrichment space.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Now, one thing to keep note of, if they're in high school and they're looking for like a team that is not one of our CHASA sponsored team, they could start that through enrichment. Okay, so but what we classify as high school athletics are those CHASA sponsored sports, and that's what's listed under our athletics page. So I hope that provides some clarity. So if they wanted to start a tennis team and as an enrichment program for high school, they could do that as long as we're not offering it as a CHASA sanctioned sport. Okay, so they can't be offered simultaneously.
Sorry.
The one thing I would, I'm not fully following the relationship between CHASA and the internal, but I think maybe Ms. Fitz, I'll just send you a follow-up on that so we can make sure we're taking advantage of what's there.
Sure. I guess I just wanted to add to what Nicole said. So CHASA is basically, if you think about it, all the schools in high schools in the state that do athletics, this is their governing body. They make up the rules, and they are the ones that say, this is what the schools have to adhere to in order to play high school sports that are considered CHASA sanctioned. Now, what Nicole mentioned about sports that we don't offer, we definitely could look at things as an enrichment opportunity, but then there's also the opportunity where Mr. Alsop can find schools that partner with us, like we do with lacrosse, or students can ask CHASA for what they call an athletic actually, I don't know the exact name of it, but there is a way for students who play a certain sport that we don't offer here at STEM, but do want to play competitively for that sport at a high school. They have that opportunity. But at the middle school level, if there is something specific that you want or that isn't a CHASA sport, like Quidditch or something like that, although I think they've changed the name, we could look at how we could bring that to STEM.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. There's a couple of other questions about enrichment. So can we only choose one enrichment class at a time? Anyway, we could choose multiple enrichment classes. So you can put your kiddo in as many enrichment clubs as you would like. As long as they don't conflict on that day, just keep in mind each enrichment, some might have a fee and some might not. So just keep that in mind that, you can sign them up for as many enrichment offerings as you'd like. And that would keep them active after school. So, but just keep in mind, some of them might conflict. So know that as you're signing up for it. So yes, charter school students can have access to neighborhood sports. It's a little bit of what Ms. Fitzroy was mentioning. Now this is, there is a caveat here. If your student wants to play, let's use boys soccer as an example. If they want to play boys soccer at another school and not at STEM, they cannot do that because we offer boys soccer as a CHASA sport in grades 9 through 12. Okay, so the other school will not let them compete. And we won't let them compete at the other school. They have to compete if they want to do boys soccer. They have to compete at our school. So that is a change now that we've become an official CHASA school. Now, if it's a sport, as Ms. Fitz was saying, if it's a sport we don't offer, so for instance, football or ice hockey, we don't offer it here at the CHASA level and for grades 9 through 12 at STEM. So, but they could go to, let's say, Valor has ice hockey. They could go compete at Valor. If there was another, I don't know if there's another district run school that does ice hockey, but they could go compete as long as they made it on that team. So just keep that in mind that there is that stipulation there.
I would add, I know that in the past, and I'm not sure if it's continuing, but STEM boys have played baseball with, I believe it's Skyview Academy, or no, I think so. I know there's, but if you had a baseball player who you didn't want to play there, you wouldn't be obligated, I believe, to play baseball. But there is, like, if you have a child who, you know, loves baseball, but maybe, you know, they don't really want to go with like a Vista or one of those programs that are super intense, and they like the idea of just partnering up with another charter school and having a good time playing a sport. That would be another opportunity. There's relationships like that, very similar to, well, I'm not positive it's exactly like lacrosse, but it is another one of those relationships, and I'm sure it has its own specifics.
So what Ms. Fitz is talking about, we offer boys lacrosse. It's last year was its second year. However, it was determined we didn't have enough STEM students to form a team. So we did get a CHASA waiver, and that allowed for us to combine our team with the CHASA boys lacrosse team at Highlands Ranch High School. So both of our schools were able to compete together as one CHASA boys lacrosse team. Okay, so now if we're talking about baseball, we don't offer baseball as a CHASA sport. So a student who wants to play baseball at the CHASA level, okay, and they can pick any school that they want to go to as long as they arrange that at that particular school. Okay, so we just want to make sure that that's clear. And when we're talking about CHASA athletics, we're talking about students who are doing athletics in grades 9 through 12. That CHASA does not apply to middle school. Yes.
Yeah, so just to crystallize that, the CHASA restriction below the level of 9th grade. So if STEM has let's say a lacrosse team in the high school, but not a lacrosse team in the lower elementary
Correct.
school or the middle school.
Yep.
Can the student leave and go participate with another middle school team, even though we
Correct.
have a high school team? Okay,
Yep.
got it. Thank you.
Yep, because that CHASA rule doesn't apply until they enter 9th grade.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other enrichment or athletic questions? Because there are 2 other questions that are off topic that I would like to try and answer. And you feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to ask them live. We love talking to people. Okay, I don't see any more, so I'm going to touch on these next 2 questions. They could be helpful to you. So there was a question about paying school fees. So if you are trying to log in and you don't see any school fees loaded, we ask that you please reach out to ashley.westfall@stemk12.org so that she can get you squared away with your school fees. It could be that when she pulled the report, you might not have been grabbed into that report, and she would have grabbed that data file and uploaded it into My School Bucks. And so that's probably why that's not showing there. So that is Ashley, ASHLEY.Westfall@stemk12.org. And then there was another question about, let's see. There was a question about the Chromebooks being available to free and reduced lunch students. So please take, I'm going to include information about that in our newsletter that's coming out hopefully today. If I can set aside some time to complete it, and that information will be listed in there, both in the elementary and the secondary news update section. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, a few more questions that came in. School supplies for 6th grade. So we do not have, once you hit secondary, we don't have any required school supplies for any grade level. Your student will start to see their courses in Canvas, and they'll start to gain access to the syllabus. And the teacher also might email as to what school supplies are needed for their particular class. But because we have so many different options available, when it comes to electives, or maybe a science class has very specific needs that's different from the math class, that's really dependent on the teacher to put that list together, and they upload it to their Canvas syllabus. So just be on the lookout for that. You have plenty of time to get that next week if it's needed. So teachers are busy writing their bios. We will not have them available this weekend because not all of them have completed their bios. But we will be posting the directory if I can get it up today, it will be posted today. We have onboarded, we have I believe 2 more positions that we're currently going through the hiring process for, where we have some great candidates. But we're going to go ahead and post our staff directory here within the next, hopefully 24 hours. So you'll start to see, those teachers and staff populate on our website. We just won't have any bios available just yet. Okay. The previous Welcome Back to School Zoom sessions, if you go to our homepage, it's the second article in the rotator as it scrolls. It's called the Back to School Information Hub. They're all listed there. I will also include it in the weekly newsletter that goes out. Here's a question. If my kid is playing soccer but would love to try a cross-country race and it's okay with the coaches, do we have to pay the fee for both sports? That is going to be that's going to be a question for the athletic director. I would assume that it wouldn't be a big deal, but I would leave that up to the athletic director, because I don't know if there is some sort of stipulation, because we are CHASA and those are both CHASA sponsored sports. So I don't know if there's a stipulation that would prevent your student from taking part in that, if they can take part in 2 fall sports simultaneously, and if they would have to register for that. So I would email Mr. Alsop, and that's ryan.alsop, ALSUP @stemk12.org to get clarification on that. Oh, and we've got a nice little plug there for the class of 2026 freshman page on Facebook. If you haven't already joined the class pages, we've got a great group of moderators this year. Those are all parent volunteers. They are taking on that role of kind of creating that virtual environment for our families to connect with one another. That will hopefully then lead to some really strong relationships, because we understand that our families come from all over, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to create those connections. So if your student is a freshman, please consider joining that page. If you have questions about your school fees, and you are part of that free and reduced lunch program, I would highly recommend that you reach out to ashley.westfall@stemk12.org. And that could be because when the application was completed, that the box was not checked to share that information with your student's school. The form is one that is provided by the district, so they collect all that information. And if you do not give the district permission to share that information with us, we will not know. Okay, and then that also keeps you out of receiving other benefits, free and reduced lunch benefits that you might be eligible. And one of those would be receiving a free Chromebook that your student can keep for the duration that they are a student at STEM. Another might be the waiving of field trip fees. So please make sure that if you complete that form, that you check that box. That way we get that information. Let's see. And it could also be that I would give it some time, as far as like, if you did check that box, Sometimes the district doesn't always share it with us right away. As you can imagine, it is a challenge sometimes at the start of the school year with a number of, with the amount of data that's being kind of sent back and forth through IC. But as I mentioned before, email Ashley Westfall so that she can double check for you. Thank you very much for that very kind comment. Any other questions that you have in regard to enrichment or athletics that we can answer for you? We're also happy to, or I'm also happy to answer any other questions that you might have, but how about we'll stay on for probably about another 5 to 10 minutes or so if we've got any more questions coming in, but otherwise we're done with our presentation on enrichment and athletics. Thank you guys so much for attending today. We really appreciate it. And thanks, Ms. Fitz, for being available to answer those questions. She's amazing. She was our in-house sub coordinator last year. And then the year prior to that, she was an educational assistant, substitute teacher. Before that, she was in our elementary school. So she's had many hats. She knows the ins and outs. So she's a great addition to the enrichment program because she really has a great connection with our kids and knows what they want. Let's see, our laptops a must for 5th grade. Students will be using laptops in 5th grade. They do have access to Chromebooks from their teacher. The laptop requirement is not needed until 6th grade. You can find the laptop requirements or recommendations on what you should purchase on the IT technology support page that is located under the About Us tab. So there was a question about a physical that was done back in February. I'm not sure as to when they reset the calendar year for the physical. You can try to submit it because it is still within the same calendar year. And then if they kick it back, they'll let you know if they don't accept it, but definitely, oh, Ms. Fitz.
So I have a student athlete. So what you're going to get is a form that your doctor signs. And as long as your doctor signs it and it comes back to the school, you're all set. So if your doctor deems February 1st as a good date, then you're good. If your doctor says, I need him to come back in first, then you bring him back in and then you get the form signed.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, there was another question about credentials for Infinite Campus. So if you've never set up your Infinite Campus account, I would start with taking a look at that Express check-in page. If you haven't already put your name or fill out that Express check-in help form, that we are processing through those. Just give us some time to get through each one of them, but we are processing them and getting you the information that you're requesting on that form. And then that would provide you with if you're setting up your account, there's another link on that page that with the information we provide you, you would then click on that link to create your parent portal or Infinite Campus account. There's a question about only one student being listed in the Pick My Kid app. If it is a secondary student, they won't be listed in Pick My Kid. If it's another elementary school student, there is that Pick My Kid help form. I am processing through those as well. So there's a help form on that Pick My Kid page that we have on our website. And I will be processing through those and taking a look at the data that is being imported into Pick My Kid. It could just be something to where it maybe just pulled, if you have 2 primary contacts, it might have only pulled 1, and then I just need to go in and update who the secondary contact is. I pull all of that information from Infinite Campus. It also does get auto updated every single day. And so one of the reasons why Express check-in is so important is because you utilize that one avenue to update that one platform that then communicates out to all of our other platforms. So we know it's been a little bit of a challenge with Express Check-in, but we still want to encourage our families to go ahead and do that. One thing that is included in Express Check-in is determining the media clearance that you would like for your student. And so making sure that you check how you would like for their likeness to be used. For example, in we utilize that in communications to then determine, can we use this student's picture in either a promotional video or a commercial? Can I use the picture to post up on our website or on social media? And so it's really important when our families go through that Express Check-in that they verify what they want for their student. That way we know on our end how to utilize not only the information, but how we know how to utilize the photos and videos that are taken of your student while they're here at STEM. So the pairing code, and I'm going to include instructions on that in the newsletter. If you go to the I was just told by our IT department, and they manage their own page on our website, that the pairing code information can be found on that technology support page under the About Us tab. So if you want to go ahead and already start looking into that, you can do so by following those instructions that are listed there. So there is a question here about kind of like a scheduling type question. Just know we will be sending out an update later on today. I'm just waiting for approval. We met with our counseling team again this morning. They are processing schedule change requests as they come in. And one thing to keep in mind when schedules open up in Infinite Campus, there is a lot of movement. And so what we want to always remind families is that what you see on the first day is not what it's going to be like within the first week of school. The reason why you would see gaps, or the reason why you might not see a schedule, could vary. Reason why you might see a gap could be that maybe there was a class there and we've combined that class with another one because maybe we didn't have the numbers and not enough kids signed up. So then we have to just rearrange to see if we can fit that student into that class, but we need to discuss with them what can we move around on their schedule. So just because they have gaps does not mean that they're either not enrolled or that they're not going to be able to come to school. So I'm going to send out a communication later on today about secondary schedules, what you can expect, and the best pathway to follow in order to get schedules kind of situated over the next few days. Students have up until I believe it's the 18th of August, and that's when any schedule changes close. So don't panic. It happens every single year. That there's always blanks in schedules as teachers get here. They decide, hey, I didn't want to teach that class anymore. I want to teach this class, and they make changes to it. So there's a couple of factors that impact schedules that unfortunately we just can't mitigate those, because we would have to keep everything very stringent and not allow for any flexibility, and that's just not something that's feasible. So just know they're working on it and they're processing everything as it comes in. When I send out the information this evening, there'll be links to both the schedule change request form as well as the course selection sheet, if that's something that you need. And I'll have instructions as to when you need to use what form. Okay. So just know that I see there's a note here about Express Check-in, and that you might not be, the data might not be correct. We're still working on it. We haven't forgotten it. Sometimes it is trying to get to the right person within the district. And if you can imagine how difficult it's been for you to gain access to Express Check-in and go through that process smoothly, it has been just as challenging for us to even just get things updated. So, one thing that we are experiencing with new staff coming on board, trying to even get them access into Infinite Campus has been quite a challenge. So just know, if you don't complete Express Check-in, it's fine. Your student can still come to school, okay? At some point in time, we will reach out to those who haven't completed it to say, hey, can you quickly go through this process? And by that time, we should hopefully have everything squared away. We've also onboarded a new registrar over the last 2 weeks. So she has been tiering the responsibilities that she's working on, which is she is enrolling students and then she's also unenrolling students. So there's 2 components of her job that are very important. And so when she processes enrolls and unenrolls, because that releases student records to the school that they're going to, then she goes through and she helps families through express check-in. So she is helping families every single day. So we just ask that you just continue to give us the opportunity to kind of help get the situation squared away. Pairing code, that is used for the parents to be able to set up their parent Canvas account and to be able to see their student's account. So you will be listed as an observer so that you can log in and you can see the courses that they're taking, the syllabus, and then you can also keep track of their grades throughout the semester. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you, everybody. This has been really great questions. Thank you all for tuning in. I will post the recording of this to the website along with the PDF presentation. And we are so excited to see you all on Tuesday, Monday if you're coming for Spartan launch, and Tuesday if it's your first day of school. So I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you again.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're so welcome. There's one last question that you've downloaded My School Bus with My Kid Infinite Campus and Canvas. Am I missing any? I think you're pretty set. That sounds like everything that you might need. So I think you are all set. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.